Should read topic number 3 is the U.S. goes overseas preaching democracy while suppressing it at home. By the way, shout out to everyone else who joined. I saw Carl Hezekiah was out there as well in the chat. Shout out to all of you for tuning in tonight. Crap, hold on a second. Messing up. So this one has 2 links to it. Let me share the first one first. It's taking us to Yahoo. Over on Yahoo News, it says Tennessee's House expels 2 of 3 Democrats over guns protests. There's a video here. Let's check it out. If it'll play.
There's a time where people get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so I came as a representative to this well. So today, we are brought to here, responding in the extreme measure because we did, but because by breaking decorum, we broke the glass of your false power for the world to see. We broke the glass, this chamber that someone called sacred. One of the members on the other side of the aisle was in tears and said, "I've never seen such a breach of the sacred chamber." And I thought to myself, that representative has obviously never read history. Because is it in this chamber, if you walk around this Capitol, you'll see bullet holes when representatives got into conflict. You'll see duels take place on this House floor, debating whether people like me should be treated like equal citizens under law. This is not a temple. This is a place where we're supposed to wrestle for our democracy and wrestle ideas and give voice to 78,000 constituents each of us represents. But for so long, this body, drunk with power, has modeled for the world what we know as nothing less than authoritarianism. And today is the climax of that behavior. That a week after a mass shooting plagued our community, the most direct action this legislative body takes, or should I say my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are taking, is to expel us for speaking about the issues of weapons of war on our streets. We called for you all to ban assault weapons, and you respond with an assault on democracy. That is why the nation is watching you today. And I say to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle that no matter what you vote, you have the votes, but you will not be victorious because there are generations of young people who see what is going on. There are young people that as you try and beat us down, they are rising up to take back this state from the extreme forces that have sought to take away the democratic process, the deliberative process. On last Thursday, when thousands gathered here, tried to silence members from talking about the issue of gun violence because they were afraid that a conversation would remind people that there is complicity of this body in what happened at Covenant Elementary School.
I see why they kicked him out. I mean, this guy's up there sounding like Gil Scott-Heron. Like, what? Why are we performing spoken word? And the other guy is worse. The other guy jacks MLK completely. But what? Let me finish the story. That was the video with one of the people. So this story says Nashville, Tennessee, in an extraordinary act of political retaliation, Tennessee Republicans on Thursday expelled 2 Democratic lawmakers. You just saw the video of one of them from the state legislature for their role in a protest calling for more gun control in the aftermath of a deadly school shooting in Nashville. A 3rd Democrat was narrowly spared by a 1-vote margin. The split votes, the 3rd Democrat, by the way, is a big old husky white woman. That's her over on the right-hand side. The split votes drew accusations of racism, with lawmakers ousting Reps Jason Jones and Justin Pearson. We just saw Justin Jones on screen. I'm going to show you Justin Pearson in a second. Well, both black, while Representative Gloria Johnson, who is white, survived the vote on her expulsion. Republican leadership denied that race was a factor. However, the visitors' gallery exploded in screams and boos following the final vote. After sitting quietly for hours and hushing anyone who cried out during the proceedings, people broke into chants of shame and fastest. Banishment is a move the chamber has used only a handful of times since the Civil War. Most state legislatures have the power to expel members, but is generally reserved as a punishment for lawmakers accused of serious misconduct, not used as a weapon against political opponents. GOP leaders said Thursday's actions were necessary to avoid setting a precedent that lawmakers' disruptions of House proceedings through protests would be tolerated. Republican Rep. Gino Bulso said the three Democrats had, quote unquote, effectively conducted a mutiny. At an evening rally, Jones and Pearson pledged to be back at the Capitol next week, advocating for change. Rather than pass laws that will address red flags and banning assault weapons and universal background checks, they passed resolutions to expel their colleagues, Jones said. And they think that the issue is over. We'll see you on Monday. So you guys get a gist of why they were tossed. But let me just show this video here. It takes us to a tweet of the other Justin Pearson. Just listen to this guy.
Sad day on Saturday. All hope seemed to be lost. Representatives were thrown out of the state house. Democracy seemed to be at its end. Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But oh, that was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last. But oh, we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes. Resurrection is a promise, and it is a prophecy. It's a prophecy that came out of the cotton fields. It's a prophecy that came out of the lynching tree. It's a prophecy that still lives in each and every one of us in order to make the state of Tennessee the place that it ought to be. And so I've still got hope because I know we are still here and we will never quit.
Testify.
Out of order. Out of order.
That man almost slipped up and said, I have a dream. Like it's that bad. Lero says it's cringe. Right? Like, yo, what is this? Tanzan, what did you see there?
I saw church. I thought I was in the 1960s or something. Wow, someone that young should not be sounding that old. And those kinds of tactics, I don't think they work that well anymore. But on the whole, you know, whatever theatrical and drama they were involved in, you know, definitely the reaction was excessive. You know, like they said, it's supposed to be about some egregious, you know, infraction against the, you know, the body. It's not supposed to be, or if you don't like somebody, you banish them. So obviously, it was racially motivated. So yeah, he was doing a bit too much and almost making it into a joke, because when you concentrate so much on how you say something, it takes away from, you know, what you're trying to say. And he was more involved in trying to look good rather than trying to, you know, get to the point that he was trying to say. So he didn't really help his cause, and you know, he didn't really get what he wanted. But on the other hand, you know, the reaction is, you know, it's not surprising anymore. It's just that, if they're going to do the new tactics, you should come up with other better tactics as well, because the Saturday preacher tone has been taken, and people are not listening to that moralistic summoning anymore. Nobody's sitting there being wagged in the face, having a finger in their face, and then they're going to sit meekly there and just say, yes, you're right. No, as somebody who is the new crop, they should not be just imitating what their elders did. They should be taking that and innovating it and coming up with new methods, new arguments, and new creative ways to get their point across, not sounding like some octogenarian who just got inspired. So well, the what they do is, it's not surprising anymore. Even when they preach, they're just preaching it. They're not practice. The US, they don't practice it. So yeah, it's expected that they will not follow their own rules, because if you make the rules, why should you follow them unless somebody is making you follow them? And I don't think this is the way to get it. This moralistic grandstanding it's just not. It doesn't work anymore, and he makes himself look ridiculous and his cause as well. Yeah.
I appreciate that time. Oni, what say you to this?
Oh, so I think that white man was saying what all of us were thinking. That dude was out of order. Like, just out of order, out of order. Like, I was like, yes, I finally me and the white boy agreed. I mean, yeah, about that's what I'm saying. Like, what we are not processing is that these are state representatives. Okay, this is not a joke position. This is a really big political position for anybody. To be the state representative is to, I don't know how many, but maybe represent, I don't know, maybe 50, 60,000 people, or I don't know, maybe 600,000 people. I really don't know Tennessee that well. Either way, this is a significant position. One, you got freaking clowns out of the black community getting into that position. That's one. Two, this white boy could just say, I don't give a shit if you have 600,000 constituents. Get the fuck out of our building. We're handling business. Like, if they can tell you that in this country, what hope? Like, why do you put so much? Like, what institution are you putting your hope in? If everywhere you turn, these white folk are telling you you'll never get these institutions. Even when you make a huge accomplishment, a huge accomplishment in a political sense of becoming the state representative, a lawmaker, and then your colleagues say, what are you doing here? Get out of here. Right? Like, that should tell you everything you need to know. I mean, and it's not like it's one time. Not it's like it's one time thing. In other states, they are. What is with Erzuli? I told you he was gonna be back at 10. Did I tell y'all he was gonna be back at 10 o'clock? This dude said he was gonna be gone. I said, you just tip the lady, and after 2 minutes he's done. Anyway, after 2 minutes he's done with her. He's like, how? Anyway, but my thing is, that's embarrassing. This dude couldn't, like, her. She was like, there's got to be an hour, Zuli. I know you're not going to last, but it's got to be an hour. Yo, man, try to get a girl who charges you at a minute rate, man. Try to get a girl who charges you at a minute rate, my dude. This dude buying the whole hour back. All right. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that, yeah, I mean, there was a legislation in, like, let's say Florida, where if you are a teacher and you teach something that that a parent doesn't like, you could lose your job. Okay, and that parent might not like you teaching about race type thing, anything racial. I think, as a matter of fact, I think it was yesterday, right, before KWAZ, where they were showing these people were showing the Ruby Bridge documentary, right, from Disney. You know what I'm saying? And this teacher might be getting the axe for that. All that to say, yeah, I mean, that's the big joke, because it's like, if it's, like the question is then, if it's America that's, you know, oh, democracy, 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 right? And then when you have people who elevate themselves from the democratic practice, who keep the like if you see how this guy is whipped, okay, you see how this guy is whipped. There's another video of the man. He got a clean fro. I ain't gonna hold it, right? Nice clean fro, right? You see him in another one like straight out of the fucking church, right? He's whipped to the like he's whipped like he got the scars. You know what I mean? Like he got the phantom scars. And notwithstanding that, the fact that even at that level, he's being treated like a piece of shit. You know, like Forecast would say, he got that the Negro wake up call, right? The fact that that is what's happening, that you could be as slave as they need you to be, right? And it's just not enough. I mean, come on. Like I would say, if you put in all like they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you put in all your eggs in this basket, you shit, you get in the wrong basket. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate that, Oni. I agree. With that said, let's go to, you know what? Let's welcome in Real Black Gentleman this week. Real Black Gentleman, how are you?
Man, I'm doing well.
Good. What's the you to this?
Look, I mean, first of all, I want to say that I'm never for stifling people's speech, you know what I'm saying, especially like punishing people to that degree, you know what I'm saying, exposing them. So like he doesn't have his job, right? They didn't kicked him out. That's what happened?
Well, they got him up out of that meeting. I don't think he lost.
Oh, okay. So like he still has his job though, right?
Yeah, he's like an elected official. So okay.
Okay. I wasn't sure what the deal was. They said they expelled him. Okay. I'm not, now, having said that, right? Look, what are we talking about? Like, we're talking about in light of the Transformer going out here acting a fool, trying to incur, you know what I'm saying? Like, we as Black people are daft for trying to persuade taking away constitutional rights, a la the whole Second Amendment. Like, why are Black people talking about, look, that's not sensible. I feel like Black people, you know what I'm saying, you cannot have Black people in representative government trying to sound like the church. It's not the right place for it. I mean, it's not effective. It makes them look like a fool. It makes Black people look, you know what I'm saying, off kilter. I don't like that. I feel for him, you know what I'm saying, shouldn't have, you know what I'm saying, in the next breath, like, why, bruh? Why are we out here doing the most for other people's and like trying to like negate something? Like, assault weapon is a whole manufactured term, like, you know what I'm saying, like that there's no real thing as a so-called assault weapon, assault rifle. You know, people can go on an assault with any gun. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's really semantics, and really it's not even semantics. It's just wordplay. Like, I don't like it when Black people are on the back end of things. Like, it seems like we protest backwards. Like, I just do not understand why he's wasting his time trying to. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot more things that Black people need to worry about. Infrastructure and plumbing and sewers and the water and all these things. And we like huffing and puffing about, you know what I'm saying, guns and like the fact that the goddamn Transformer done acted a fool and then shot up the church. And you want to sound churchy in the legislature. I'm gonna yield the mic.
No, I appreciate that, Real Black Gentleman. I'm glad there's a couple things you pointed out that's dead on, but I'm glad you brought it back also to the conversation. Like, these guys are anti-Second Amendment. Why are you doing that shit? What is that, Black folks? Why are you doing that stuff? You know? Let's go to Buano. Buano, what say you to this?
Yeah, so before I begin, let me just first preface this in saying that I really don't like to discuss the internal politics of another man's country. So I'm very glad that Real Black Gentleman came on to have his say-so in this particular instance. When we talk about Africa, I think I have an ancestral right to the continent, so I like to delve into internal politics. But since I'm being asked to, to discuss this particular issue, I'll give my 5 cent opinion. You know, in terms of when these brothers, I'm talking about gun control. I'm like, man, you all have a right to guns, just as everyone else in the country. So if the people in the state of Tennessee wants to have assault weapons, you have a right to buy assault weapons as well to protect yourself for whatever reason, whatever reason. So these democratic talking points only speak for their party. They don't necessarily speak to their constituents, because that's maybe their constituents don't mind having assault weapons if it means that, hey, we as a community, which is 14% of the community, we living in a hostile environment. So it appeared to me that having the ability to protect myself, where I could get guns, whatever reason, if it means protecting myself and my family, I should have a right to do that. But see, he's sticking to his democratic talking point, and they giving him a script to talk about. It's 2023, when the black man in America, and like I said, I don't like to discuss these internal politics, but to talk about equality in 2023, brother, it means you ain't been watching from 1776 what's been happening. America is not even no Western country. These ideas are equality. These things are high-minded ideas that profit, but the reality of these Western enclaves, they don't practice equality, brother. Get that out of the table. Get that out of the equation, brother. You know what I mean? We are in a competition, and we are in a competition to win. There are going to be winners and losers. Displace this idea of equalness and equality. That's just a nonsense that the Democrats like to run on about, and it's disgusting. And the fact is in a black man mouth at this point in time. Come on, bro. Come on, man. You creating a narrative that is fanciful. It's a fantasy, and the fact that, hey, this guy sound like Martin Luther King Jr. He basically called Martin Luther King voice, and all his gestures and how he's speaking things like that. But it's just red meat to his audience, because he understands that the black community by and large is coming from a Christian tradition. 90% of the black people in America are Christians. 90%. So to have that kind of posture, he's preaching to it's like a dog whistle. He's dog whistling to many of his constituents. You notice that they was cheering, because politically we are still there. We still look to being represented by religious leaders instead of real political leaders. You know what I mean? But that's a whole other matter, because I wouldn't beat him up too much on that, because when Donald Trump does it, and Donald Trump throws his red meat to his audience, he talks about law and order, law and order. Who's that coming from? That's coming from the old Reaganites, people who was with Ronald Reagan, who was an actor, by the way. That's a whole nother matter. So I wouldn't beat him up too much about that. But this guy, when he's proffering, it's just a whole lot of performance, little sense, which is how the politics game works, unfortunately. But like I say, at this point in time, I think that we as a community, in particular people who are in North America or even in the Western world, we need to find a new script that is independent of someone giving us a script. Because these ideas of equality don't work for our community. It's been working. These ideas of gun control don't work for our community. It's been not working. So we need to find our own script. The Democrats does not have the ability to create a script or a narrative that's gonna cure the issues that is availing the black community inside of North America. I don't believe or think. I'll stop there.
I appreciate that. Wow. But talking about his oration and his gesturing, it's just feel-good stuff again. It's more feel-good stuff again. The other brother doing spoken word poetry.
This is what his community, this is what they go after. We go after fanfare. We go after things, like you say, that make us feel good. We would never listen to politicians who want to tell us the hard, fast, and honest truth. They wouldn't vote for him. And these guys know that. So he gonna come with this articulation. It's all like Martin Luther King Jr. because he know many of his constituents. They are the voters, not the young, maybe not the young, so much the younger people, but the older people are the voters. Then they still in them churches are worshiping white Jesus. So you gotta throw them that red meat that can keep you in office. It's a game, it's a game of performance, man. But we do it here as well. So we they don't have a monopoly on it. We do it here as well. So to see it being done here is just a reimagining of what I've been watching for my whole entire life politically in these Caribbean places. But I like I said, I'll stop.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? That's the thing we should be discussing as well. It's always performative because everything is a production. That's just what it is. Everything is a production, and you have to nail certain beats in production. So this guy is trained. These two guys are trained to have that delivery because their handlers know, this is what your audience likes. It's a funny thing. Let's welcome in our sister Lero this week. Lero, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? What's up, everybody? What was that?
I said I'm hanging in there. Thanks for asking.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear.
Good. Shoot the breeze topic number 3 is the U.S. goes overseas preaching democracy while suppressing at home. What do you feel about the prompt in relation to these videos that we are seeing?
I could say a lot, but I'm gonna try to keep it brief. To be honest, it's just so unserious. I mean, for one, why can't we just come and speak like we are, organized? Just I don't get the theatrics of it all and the poetry. Like it's not 1960 anymore. Like it's not, and it seems like we're just constantly trying the same methods. Like how many times is America going to have to tell us that this is not your country? You don't have the say here. We do. You know what I mean? And it really boils down to, like others have mentioned, Black folks just really like a lot of that sentimental stuff. We like surface level things because we don't have to be, rigorous in study, and we don't have to be critical, and we don't have to be accountable, and don't have to put in any work. It's easy to just support a slogan or what looks nice. Oh yeah, he's preaching Black Power fist. He got the fro going. Like, what does that even mean? What is he talking about? What is he saying? Like, and some people don't even know, but because it's just beyond me. When it gets down to it though, like as far as gun control goes, like a lot of people think of like gun control as being kind of a leftist position, but if you really think about it, in America, basically restricting gun rights to citizens and access to guns to citizens, but leaving them in the hands of the military and in the hands of the police, because let's be honest, both sides of the coin, Republicans and Democrats alike, are not trying to reduce their police budgets. They're not reducing their military budgets. So it's really taking away gun rights to citizens and leaving them in the hands of the state. I don't see how that's a leftist position at all. That seems very authoritarian to me. I don't get what benefit that would be to Black folks, but even then too, like say gun control did come into play, I mean it's kind of futile at this point, the amount of guns that are in the streets. These boys walking around with switches and weapons that you can't even buy legally, like, you know what I mean? They all over the hood, and if Black folks got them, these crackers got them too. Like, so it's of no benefit. But it comes down to the fact that we don't see militancy as something that's important to us, because we believe we're already, integrated within this nation, and we kind of seek satisfaction and pride and solace in this racial plight with our enemies. And it's unfortunate, like, that's our circumstances, being a minority in a white country. But at some point still we have to turn to ourselves and start asking hard questions, if we really want change, but because that's the kind of over sentiment of everyone, but we don't take the time to be as disciplined enough, and it doesn't matter that much to us. We're pretty apathetic about the situation, but we virtue signal about it, and and all those type of things. But yeah, it really is going to come down to just Black folks kind of coming to themselves and thinking for themselves, getting organized within oneself, and not worried so much about, what white folks is doing to you because you were a slave. Like, and it sucks that you even got to say that, but you were enslaved. How much more worse could you get from that? You know what I mean? And it's a plethora of issues, but I'll kind of leave it at that.
Larry, at the beginning you said something, and by the way, thank you for that. You said something that reminded me of a story. You said, why can't black folks just come and talk to another black person like normal friggin' people, right? It reminds me of a time, me and a good friend of mine, we got lost trying to find this place that was like in Spanish Harlem, right? And so we're lost in Spanish Harlem. My friend, who did like 3 semesters of Spanish in college, like many of us did, he thinks he's a Spanish speaker. He sees a Spanish guy. And he started saying, escúchame. And the dude was like, yo. I speak English, man. Just talk to me in English, man. It made me remember that funny ass story that I went through with this friend of mine. Yeah, black folks, we gotta learn. Just talk to me like a man. Just talk to me seriously. All the joking and all this gimmicky bullshit. Let's go to first of all, let's welcome in our brother Carl Hezekiah this week. Carl, how are you?
Hey, Koku, hope everybody's doing well in the chat. You guys can hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, all right. So I don't know, these responses I'm hearing from this video, they're kind of wild to me. I wonder if we watched the same video. But just to give a little context to this man speaking out. So of course there was another school shooting. America has, an average of a mass shooting every day now at this point. So in this shooting, there were 3 children killed, 3 teachers were killed. So a total of 6 people. What happened was that a group of students led the protest. The students actually came to the Capitol in Tennessee and led the protest. And these 3 legislators, the 2 black men and the white woman, joined the protest that was led by the students. So it's not so much the politicians asking for the gun control. This is something that's asked for by the children. Now, to Laro's point, other people's point in the chat, the United States has more guns than any other country on earth. There's enough guns in this country for every individual to have one. And there's a proliferation of guns in this country. So we understand that, there's not going to be a way to stop all of those guns. But there's a lot of loopholes. For example, there's a gun show loophole. Like you can go to a gun show and buy a gun without having to go through certain background checks. So the concern is to keep these weapons, these high power weapons out of the hands of certain people, perform background checks, mental health screenings, things like that. And that's the request. So there's nothing out here that says they're going to completely ban guns. And I don't think this guy was saying that. So as these politicians join the student protests, instead of listening to the students, they just decided to expel those members. And these people they're expelled. They're not in the legislature anymore. They don't have a job anymore. So they can be reelected. They can be sent back by their constituents. But as a response to that, the legislature said they will withhold funding from any projects from their district if they rescind them. So these people, this is not democracy, this is fascism. These people really are trying to, they're doing what their constituents asked for. These children came to the school to ask for some what they call common sense gun control, background checks, mental health, things like that. And basically, they said, fuck them kids. And fuck you for joining them. So when I hear you guys talk, I understand the cadence is annoying. We grew up in the church. Many of us grew up in the church. We saw videos of Dr. Martin Luther King. I understand how they were talking was getting on people's nerves. But the overall message that they were trying to send, that these children, their parents, their families are asking for this. We will join them and ask for it. And instead of them not even just listening, but they just got them out of there completely. And to me, it's the hypocrisy of this. even you got Kamala Harris in Africa going around talking about protecting the LGBTQ, protecting them, democracy in the Middle East, and yet here we are in this country, and these democratically elected officials can be just kicked out because we don't like what you got to say. And then how racist it is, because it was a white woman who said the same thing. She didn't get fired, by one vote or whatever. But just the overall image of it, they don't care. It's all about might makes right. So I just brought this to everyone to kind of say, just to look at this hypocrisy. And I personally don't believe gun control is going to happen in this country. There's too much things invested with the mentality of the American settler colonial enterprise. It was historically speaking, every white man had to own a gun because they were afraid of Native Americans and slaves rising up and killing them. So gun culture is embedded within Western society. I would say American society in particular. I don't know of any Western country who has this much a proliferation of guns, unless you really count Israel, who gets their guns from the U.S. too. So, but just in overall, there's going to be another shooting. Nothing's going to be done because, truth be told, people don't really care. And I don't even think that even if they did do some type of gun control or gun legislation, even a modest amount of doing anything to limit the number of weapons that are out here on the streets, I don't think that the majority of people in the U.S. at least would adhere to it. When you hear about gun control, that's mostly coming from like places like New York, California, but they only care about gun control when people who they don't like have guns. So, for example, the very first gun control, one of the first gun control acts was passed against the Black Panther Party during the 1960s by Ronald Reagan, because the Black Panthers would walk around the community armed with guns to protect Black people from police brutality. They got that gun control passed quickly, which is supported by the National Rifle Association, NRA. Now they're talking about gun control for trans people. So there's been thousands of shootings in this country within the last 20 years. Of those thousands of shootings, only 4 people have been transgender who have been committed those. But now they're really talking about restricting weapons for transgender people now that there is more legislation against transgender people going out in the country, denying them health care or whatnot. So now transgender people are the problem, whereas the thousands of shooting that involve, white men, they don't get looked at. So that's just my thoughts on this. Thank you for bringing this topic up.
No, I appreciate you, Carl. Thanks for coming through and thanks for the topic. Let's welcome our brother Bakari. Brother Bakari, how are you this week?
Peace, man. I'm good. What's up, everybody?
Good.
Everybody in the chat. I came in. I've seen a video. I'm against gun control. In all honesty, I heard what Carl just said. But when you hear people speak of gun control, the main issue is always because they didn't mention it there. That don't take away from the fact that they have mentioned banning guns, or we want to ban magazines. You can't have a magazine with more than 10 rounds. And with the laws that's been in this country against black people, there was a time where they made a law where black people couldn't own guns, right? When black people had, you can go back and look up the militias that black people had after Reconstruction, and you can see what black people was fighting back. So they made laws where black people couldn't have guns. So I don't think there should be no black person talking about guns. There was a white dude walked, a white woman, whatever the hell it was, walked up in the school and shot some white folks. White folks should have been on the front line talking about that. Everybody's problem is not our problem. Our problem is lack of training with the guns, lack of respect for one another, so we would know who to use the guns against and not keep them pointed inward. But no, I'm not for the gun control thing. Even the gun control thing came up when the white boy in Wisconsin killed the people when he killed those 3 people in Wisconsin, right? Didn't bother me. I didn't complain about it. I saw it, and what I said was, instead of black people saying, yeah, we need gun control and talking about what he did, we need to just be worried about and keep this. So if we ever have to use it, this is something we can use to defend ourselves in their court system, because we had to use our gun. So now I'm not again when every time they talk about banning something, I go out and try to get as much as possible. Like I said, when they said they want to take you to 10-round magazines, I went and bought me about 10 32-round magazines, right? So they want to do away with the wide open trigger. With that one, they say if you they gonna see about if they banned it, come in your house, that they want you to be able to, it'll be illegal if you get caught with one. But with the magazines, if you have yours before they switch it to 10-round magazines, it would never happen. The police have them, these white militias have them, everybody have them, and ain't nobody worried about gun control but the people who traditionally in this country has been dominated by the gun. So no, I'm not with the gun control. That's me personally. And on that, I yield the mic.
I appreciate that. Does anyone have any other last comments they'd like to leave? All right, then. Well, then, since there's no comments no more.
Hold on, I got a comment. Sorry about that.
Step
back for a second.
Topic number 4. Carlos killed the joke, but okay.
Sorry. But I got a question for Bakari. So, I understand not banning guns, but don't you think there should be something put in place so that way people who are mentally ill, people with a history of violence, don't have access to firearms? I don't know what state you're in. I'm in Florida, but at least here, if someone has a record of domestic violence, for example, they can't own a firearm. So while I don't support banning guns either, should there not be something in place to where certain individuals don't have access to firearms? And to another point, you said it's not a black issue, but there are black children in these schools who are getting gunned down. Also, is that not also a black issue? And I'll just stop there.
Well, with schools, when you see the big school shootings, stuff like that, it's not at very seldom at a black school. When was it at a black school? But when you say, I want every black person that can have a gun, have a gun. Because when we start, so this is how this system would work, right? So so now they're gonna start making up stuff like they always done. So now they want black people on paper. So then it will be less black people, whether they have a mental condition or not, whether they actually did something or not, whether they were actually violent towards someone or not. It would be on paper. Let's make sure we convict them. Now it's going to be harder for black people, excuse me, to get a gun. I'm in Georgia. Anybody can go get a gun. They ain't even doing no background checks for handguns. I think I want every, because my thing is, right, so we can talk about it and we can talk about what should and what shouldn't, right? But the rules are there. I want us to understand the rules, and I want us to start arming ourselves. Start arming ourselves. So throughout this thing, what I said was the people who have been harmed most with guns in this country is the people that fight most talking about gun control. They don't want us to have guns. That's why I went all the way back to Reconstruction and see when they changed laws. Because the black militias was fighting back, making them, we the ones they don't want to have guns. See, a white person mental issue is not gonna come up until they shoot about 40 people. Oh, they mentally ill, put them in, crazy house, I guess, right? So now that person can't get a gun anyway. But if they start doing it like that, just like some of these felons that black people were getting, so now you're a felon and you can't legally own a gun and you can't win. We ain't having the money to pay the judges. So the whole system is going to absolutely be rigged. The whole system is going to absolutely be against us in that sense. Instead of us I think if we dealt with one another more and we did real gun training, some people, you may not, in some of our people, we just might have to, if we build a society, we're gonna have to let them be over there in their society. But I believe in the Second Amendment, your right to bear arms and also to form a well-organized militia. That's the part of the Second Amendment that most Black people forget. It's not just the right to bear arms. It's the right to bear arms and to form a well-organized militia. And I think that's what we should be doing instead of fighting, saying, "Oh, yeah, they should ban the guns because another crazy white person that shot up another white school." We need to be forming well-organized militias so we can protect ourselves. I hear the mic.
So what about those two situations where it wasn't just a school? It was what happened in Charlottesville and what happened at a grocery store in Buffalo. And the grocery store in Buffalo, which is, these two attacks by white supremacists, which attacked, Black people in the grocery store, Black people who were in church. Now, these are targeted attacks against African Americans by white supremacists who had a history of violence. If there were particular laws in place, he couldn't even been able to get a gun. What about a situation like that?
And that's what I just said. They gonna. I don't know if anybody had. I don't know, right? So watch this. You know why they can get guns, and they gonna always get guns. Criminals gonna get them, and also the 3D print machine is not illegal for you to make your own gun, right? So I'm a firm believer in. I'm gonna say it like this. Let's say whatever white boy walked into a grocery store like that in Buffalo and started shooting Black folks. Where I am, it would have been a whole lot of Black people shooting back at him because we have our guns. I carry my gun everywhere I go. I'm not going. I keep my friend. I keep 32 friends with me everywhere I go, and I'm not the only one. See, anything they're doing and getting, we can do and get. And I think that's like, even I have friends that go to church and they have their guns on them. I got a friend that's a preacher. He preached with his gun on his side, and he have members situated in his church with guns just in case something might happen. See, we can say, but until the rule change, what do? I'm not, I don't want no crazy white folks with guns. I wish we could take everybody guns that sell Black folk guns. How about that? But until the rule change, what will we do?
Well, watch this, my feather brother, right? But look here, that's the thing that really gets me. There's two things. One, Carl just said, what about if somebody has mental illness or a history of violence? We in America, the majority of the population got mental illness and a history of violence. America was stolen by white folk who, I can't remember who said it, but they have some sort of mental disability, if you will, and they definitely have a solidified history of violence. And the reality is this, like what Brother Bakari was just saying, the gun laws were written to get the guns out of Black people's hands. That's it. These white boys use those guns to steal this land. And these white people, and this is the second part about it, right? Because I don't know why, but like these Marxists, they will tell you. I'm not saying Carl's a Marxist, although that is a Marxist name, right? If I ever heard one, but I'm not saying that he's a Marxist. I think he might be, but the irony is this: Marxist Leninism is supposed to be a revolutionary ideology, an ideology about taking up arms against the state. Okay? About the proletariat arming themselves against the bourgeoisie, against the government, taking over, establishing a dictatorship of the proletariat. They're supposed to be about violence. That's the whole appeal of the Karl Marx philosophy. And for the modern liberalized socialists to say, hey, you know what? I actually think the state should have all of the martial authority, right? I think the state should have all of the weaponry, right? What that tells you is, one, first off, if the state has all the weapons, you're not going to be revolutionary, right? You're essentially a reactionary, okay? Because you're not trying to change the state through revolutionary means, right? But on the other hand, right, the state, the reality is that you want the people, you want the proletariat to be armed against the bourgeoisie establishment. So there's two things to that. The one is, hey, what about will the people with mental illness and the people with a history of violence get weapons? Yes, they have them. White people have the weapons. The laws were only established to stop black people from having the weapons. But two, on that note, if you're trying to take weapons from black people, you're trying to take weapons from the proletariat in the interest of the state, that's not a revolutionary philosophy. That's a reactionary one. And I said this yesterday, but I'll say it this today as well. Huey Newton said, any unarmed people are either slaves or have the potential for slavery. That's it.
Let me say this right quick before you pass it. Let me say this right quick, right? So we ain't gonna let the mass shooting be our representation, right? Because black people, we don't really do a whole lot of mass shootings, actually. So what I'll let be my representation, Michael Xavier Johnson. It was just 1 minute. Look what he went at. Gavin Long, look what he went at. But now when you talk about the well-organized militia, I'll talk about the NFAC. Look what they did down in Brunswick, Georgia, how they made the police bag down. And when I'm talking about our guns, and that's when I say we need training. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I am talking about. And we have to organize better. That's what I'm talking about with our guns. And they should never be surrendered. Because if they didn't have guns, there's no way they could have stood in that street when in front of that dude's house, in front of them white folks' house, and told the police, y'all got this many days to come get him, or we going in and arrest him. And there's no way when they told when they allowed food delivery drivers, couldn't force them to turn around, would not allow them to bring food to the house, and they called the police. There's no way black folks could have stood in that street with nothing and have the police turn around, because they stood down with the police, and the police was like, well, it's too many and they ain't breaking no law. There just ain't nothing we could do. Without that type of ammunition, without that, right, there's no way they would have been able to face the police the way they did. And when we get these militias, if we get another one, when we get another one, we really need to get off YouTube, off social media, trying to embarrass people who actually went out, put their life on the line for black folks the way we did the NFAC, because it makes it so much easier for anybody to come in and attack them, because when people hear us and they know there's nothing that's going to be done. On that note, I yield the mic.
Okay, Oni, I'm not against. I'm not for disarming black people. I never said I wanted black people to be disarmed. All anything I said was that I think that in this country, at least, where you got psychopaths, these children came to these politicians asking for this. What would you tell, if you were a politician, what would you tell those kids? They just lost some of their friends, some of their teachers got shot up. They're coming to the Capitol asking for this. What do you say to those children? Hey, kids, fuck that. You out of luck. I mean, honestly, what would you tell those children? And no, I'm not capping. I never said anything about disarming. I simply said.
You asking me what I would tell the children?
Yeah, what would you tell the kids?
I would turn into Donald Glover. I'll tell them this is America. Like, what the fuck? like children got, if they got to go through an educational process, and they got to learn the hard way that you dealing with a psychopathic people, a psychopathic nation. You know, I don't know. Was it Bobby E. Wright who wrote something along those lines about white folk being psychopaths? Yeah. So my thing is that You got to tell these children, hey, you know what? Maybe you need to arm yourself too, because you are surrounded by psychopaths. Psychopaths are running the fucking government, and you're not gonna go lose your damn job, trying to not understanding that. Oh, actually, how it go down, how the get down is to go down, or the go down is to get down. I'm not gonna go up there and go along to get along or whatever it is. In the sense of what this dude's doing in church. I'm out of church and I'm the righteous one, the person who attacks first admits defeat. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna tell the kids what it is. Be like, hey, you know what? This is America. People have guns. People have mental illness. They stole this country, and it's up for you to protect your damn self, because nobody else is going to. And the police are the people who are supposed to protect you, the people you think are supposed to protect you, ain't supposed to protect you. They're supposed to protect the property. They're supposed to protect the bourgeoisie. And you're being prepared to be cannon fodder. And yeah, you tell them like an IS is. You don't go and lose your job. Oh, you're supposed to be a legislator. You don't go and lose your job because some kids. It might be this. Y'all remember that BET Black Panther? BET Black Panther, where some Black Panther has to go and save some kid at some like dangerous site, and when he brings the kids back, the parents say, "Well, Johnny insisted, or whatever." Not Johnny, keep where he insisted, right? And Black Panther says, "Oh, so now we listen to children?" You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't supposed to be listening. You're supposed to be teaching the children. So if a child comes up to you and says, "Hey, can we block out the sun to stop global warming?" You don't just say, "Well, what can I say?" You start building a fucking thing to block the sun. You say, "No, stupid, damn son, we go lower climate emissions or something. We go lower emissions. That's it. You give the right solution, the practical solution. You don't lose your job. You do the real thing. You don't go out of order like that white boy was saying."
Can I add something real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I really feel like people underestimate like the amount of guns that are sold and bought illegally that exists here. Like, I mean, the damage is really done when it comes to guns. I mean, they've manufactured them out the ass. Like, they are out here. It's so easy to buy a gun. I mean, do you have Telegram? Like, I mean, I'm not even like trying to be joking about the situation, but like, it's really so easy to buy a gun. It's a click away from you buying a gun, from you buying drugs, from you buying whatever type of illegal thing you want. You know what I mean? Yeah, you may get caught. You got to worry about the police and all that stuff. But it's legal to. I mean, not legal, but it's easy for you to access weapons. Like, full stop. I mean, one, they talk about take away guns from black folk. Look, black folks got guns now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they got guns that you can't get in the shop. You hear me? Like, plenty of them. There's a plethora of options. So yeah, they did restrict them. Okay, go on the street. Like I said, they be online, where you can access child porn and things like that. And it's guns on the site too, just as much as it is. Like I say, in the digital age, so much has become accessible now, and even like internationally. And I mean, the damage is done when it comes to guns, full stop. Like, it just is. And there's no amount of legal laws and things that you can make that's going to make the situation better. One, I don't even support gun control for real. Like, I believe everybody should be armed. Everybody should be armed, like, just as your own safety precaution, period. I don't care who you are. I wouldn't give up my gun. I don't advise anybody to give up their guns. I mean, it's just really done out here. And your only option is to really arm yourself. It's like others have mentioned, we really are living with psychopaths, and people who are looking to profit off these illegal markets. If you can go buy fentanyl on the street, you think you can't go buy a handgun? Like, come on now. Like, I mean, anything. I don't know.
Hey, Carl, one thing I want to say, right? I ain't gonna. I'm gonna let you know. I understand what you're saying, right? But as long as you can make your homemade gun, a 3D printed gun, and they're legal, you can't control that. And the people that's like behind, because the 3D print ARs and AKs, that printer is $5, $10, $15,000. So we're not making them, and we're not putting money together to get that machine where we can make them, and we're not getting machines to make our own bullets, which is some of the things that we're doing. But instead of saying gun, because I would like to see, because I've seen some of these militias, I've seen documentaries, right? I've most of them, when you see white folks, those militias out there, most of their guns not registered anywhere. It's something they made at home. It's made on a 3D printer, something they made at home. No serial number. I would like to see when they catch them. Like, where did he buy this gun? What's the serial number on their gun? Most of them don't have serial numbers. So if you're gonna do a gun control, and I don't even agree with this because I want us to get into doing this, you would have to make that illegal. But they never talk about making that illegal because they are the ones that's doing them. It's legal to make what you have to go pay a certain amount of money to have you a suppressor. But it's legal to make you a suppressor it's legal to make you a suppressor at home. What they're talking about, gun control, is controlling how you get them and who get them from over the counter. But when you 3D print them, they don't even have to know, and it's legal. No serial number, guns can't be traced, nothing. So gun control in this country actually is a myth. It is something good for Democrats to say, because that's what they say. And I do believe they want to take all of the guns out of the hands of Black people. That's my take on that. I don't know about nobody else because they ain't my concern, but they want the guns out of our hands. And until we get into that 3D print, we already behind on the amount of guns that we own because we wouldn't ban them. Our gun ownership went up. But until we get the 3D print machine, I even forget the name of the machine now that make your bullets. Until you get those, we're behind. That's why they're gonna have like that white boy that went on North Carolina A&T campus the other day. The dude had homemade explosives, loaded handguns, loaded rifles, and an extra 1,000 rounds. I'm willing to bet you most of those rounds, those 1,000 rounds, I'm willing to bet you most of those were made at home. But we just have to think and say, you know what? If we were organized and we came together, we could do those same things too. We could 3D print guns. We could make our own bullets. We could protect ourselves, but now I'm done.
I appreciate that. You know what? Let's go to shoot the breeze topic number 4. I think I got everyone on that last topic.